114 years ago, the Wright brothers took the world's first manned flight, and because it was so revolutionary, they found it next to impossible to convince local journalists to cover the event. Right now, as you watch this, 500,000 people are sitting in commercial planes and flying around the globe. A new revolution is just getting started, and fortunes will be made. Blockchain technology is the game changer for the financial services industry. It will rewrite history, but 99% of the population has not even heard of it yet. For the first time since 2009, when the cryptocurrency Bitcoin was launched, making many new millionaires and multimillionaires. Now there's a way to become a pioneer investor and get positioned early using a traditional publicly traded company. It is the bridge between the blockchain world of cryptocurrencies and the stock market. And Portfolio Wealth Global's founder views it as the most significant opportunity in the past 5 years. Go to portfoliowealthglobal.com/must for a detailed exclusive report on this brand new company. Welcome to Cryptocurrencies, the Future of Money show at PortfolioWealthGlobal.com. My name is Michelle Holliday, and we have a monster week here in the first 2 days of trading since founder Tom Beck released a time-sensitive alert on it. Hive Blockchain Technologies, the world's first pure cryptocurrency stock, has gone from 30 cents to as high as $1.28 in just 2 days of trading. Details on this company and Tom's research can be found at PortfolioWealthGlobal.com/must. We are happy that you are tuning in today for this episode because today's guest is Luke Dodwell, cryptocurrency expert. Luke writes for many outlets, including crypto newsletter at crushthestreet.com. Luke is a widely acclaimed blockchain and cryptocurrency expert. And Luke, thank you so much for being on the show. How are you today?
I'm very well, thanks. That's a very kind introduction. Thank you very much.
Indeed. You deserve it. Luke, let's start with the big question on the table. China. Is China as a country making a fool of themselves by cracking down on cryptocurrencies when they know that their own citizens can buy at other exchanges and it is essentially not going to change the market dynamics?
Yeah, I mean, I think most governments are like across the world are looking a bit silly, and I think a lot of governments around the world are very cautious how they're going about cryptocurrency at the moment. China's kind of the most vocal at the moment. I think that, I mean, we've got websites like localbitcoins.com. People can use exchanges across the world to buy cryptocurrencies as long as the censorship doesn't kick in with that. I think China, what they're trying to do, like the Chinese government and the Chinese bank, and same thing really, are basically trying to regulate it and manage the situation so that they can probably bring in their own government-backed blockchain, perhaps. That's my insight on it. Also, as well, we have like ICOs literally like popping off like crazy. But an ICO is basically like a startup, a blockchain-based startup. It's like a crowdfund where they basically get investors invest in their company. But because it's so unregulated at the moment, China's basically trying to clamp down on this, which caused quite a bloodbath over the last few weeks in cryptocurrencies. And also a few Chinese exchanges have also announced that they're going to be closing. And I mean, it was always inevitable. I mean, if people listen to my videos that I did like almost a year ago now, and I remember saying like these regulations are going to hit and we're going to see a lot of these exchanges start exiting. We're going to see loads of people exiting. We're going to see a huge shakeup because I don't see the Chinese government banning Bitcoin or dismissing blockchain technology whatsoever. One, that they can't ban Bitcoin. Bitcoin doesn't need China, really. You know, it's decentralized, it's worldwide. Also, as well, blockchain technology is bringing huge amounts of capital to their economy. You know, it's a huge business. You know, it's innovative. So it seems like to me that they're trying to kind of posture themselves in terms of cryptocurrency and blockchain, and probably try and create their own kind of blockchain, their own sort of government-backed cryptocurrency, perhaps. Who knows what they're really going to do? But it seems like they're kind of posturing for something. It just seems, to me, it looks like a long-term move. That's what they're doing. Whether or not do they look like a fool? I mean, yeah, you can't. It's like trying to hold water in your hands, right? The tighter you try to hold the water, the more it oozes out of your hands. So I think they need to be a bit careful with how they do it. But it is what it is. It's a minefield out there.
You believe that there's an agenda, so they're being so negative to sort of stop the flow in positioning themselves to come forward.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely.
What kind of timeline do you think that would happen in?
Oh, God. I think the regulations are going to ramp up more and more as we go towards the next decade. I mean, how long's a piece of string? I mean, I think as well, we'll probably start seeing other governments around the world, like here in Europe, over in America, and more governments in Asia start taking a stance on it with China. Because I can't see the West allowing the East to be the vocal leaders in blockchain. I just don't see that happening. So in terms of a time frame, oh God, I think we're going to see more and more regulations come in 2018, 2019, into the early 2020s, I reckon. Who knows, right? It could happen. We don't know, right? It could happen literally next month. It could happen tomorrow. We can't really predict what they're going to do, but it's going to come eventually. This industry is too big for it not to happen. There's too much potential.
Luke, where are you based?
Bristol, UK.
And what are you seeing locally as far as, or within your country, as far as the cryptocurrencies go?
Here in Bristol, people love Bitcoin. Bitcoin, I would say Bristol is, obviously after London, of course, is like a really pro-blockchain city. I try and go to like Bitcoin meetups at least once a month. And like, there's always a massive turnout, like loads of people. They've had to start like renting out like booking the tables there as well, because it's just huge. And quite a few people who talk about Bitcoin are from Bristol as well. So it's really good. And because Bristol's so close to London as well, it's only like an hour down the road as well. I would say in terms of the government, the British government's been relatively quiet on cryptocurrencies. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but eventually they're going to come out with a stance. I know with a stance on it. I know, like, if for people that want to submit tax returns, was it www.directgov.co.uk or something like that, they do have a section about cryptocurrencies and declaring cryptocurrencies and stuff. So yeah, the government is generally aware of it. They're probably going to come out with some kind of stance. It's going to be interesting because obviously now that we're hopefully coming out of the EU, we may have a different stance to the rest of Europe. So who knows what's going to happen there? But overall, I would say on the grassroots, I'm thinking like more and more people are definitely getting into cryptocurrencies, way more, and it's more. Bitcoin is more well known than ever. I think most people who know about like investing and trying to make their money grow and technology, they've probably heard of Bitcoin now. I don't even think Bitcoin is that unknown anymore. I don't think.
Luke, I just finished watching a number of blockchain documentaries, and the potential of this is literally astounding. What are some of the industries which will be disrupted as a result of blockchain becoming a part of life?
Wow, there's going to be loads. I definitely see the Internet of Things, like what we're using right now to talk. That's going to be innovated with blockchain technology. I see the internet itself turning in, rather than being centralized, going decentralized, like on a global blockchain. It's more secure as well because it's not so prone to being attacked, like hacks and DDoS attacks and stuff, like those attacks we saw a few months ago, where certain like hospitals over here were shut down. Well, not shut down, but compromised. Their systems were compromised. If that was a decentralized internet, it wouldn't be as easy to do that. So I see the Internet of Things being innovated. I read some of that, like Ethereum is working with like car companies as well. So perhaps in terms of like data storage or like a sort of public database where information can be kind of gathered, like information on like a car's owner. So I think the car industry is going to be innovated by it. I see loads of different industries like that really coming forward. What else? I know, like you got the Ethereum Enterprise Alliance, the EEA. There's so many different companies from so many different institutions, so many different industries working with Ethereum now. It seems like they're looking at creating some amazing new applications in the future. What else? I think, definitely. Like, obviously, the financial industry as well, the financial sector as well, like what Bitcoin's doing at the moment, making the current system look pretty obsolete. So yeah, there's loads of potential.
On the subject of Bitcoin, please explain thoroughly how someone can buy his first one and store it safely, step by step, slowly, because we are going to create matching pictures on our screens for our viewers to be able to watch visually as well as hear by audio in order to be able to follow your tutorial.
Okay, so first step, you can go on to use Coinbase. That's based in San Francisco. I think they're one of the most popular places you can buy Bitcoin directly with your debit or credit card. So basically, you sign up, and in the top right-hand corner, you just literally click on sign up. Then once you've submitted your information and you're verified, you literally click on I think there's the buy and sell tab. So you click on the buy and sell tab, then you have the option to either buy or sell. So in this case, you want to buy, and you can choose either Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Litecoin. It's really simple. Just register your card with them and verify it. You may have to verify it, depending on which country you're from. And then literally you just type in how much you want to buy, how much you want to spend, and you just click confirm. And then afterwards, as long as the transaction goes through and you've got your cryptocurrency, depending on where you are, it may take longer than others. Like over here, I think on my Coinbase, it's instant, straight away. But I know other countries, it may take a little longer. And then to view your balance, you click on the accounts tab. And then literally you'll have a tab for Bitcoin or Ethereum or Litecoin or US dollar or euro, depending on where you are. And you can literally click on that, and then you'll have your balance there. And it's as simple as that. It's very, very easy. It's never been easier to buy cryptocurrency, especially Bitcoin and Ethereum and stuff.
Now, following that step, I know there are ways to store them. Some people leave them at Coinbase. What are your views on leaving your currency where you purchase it?
Always store it privately, because it's a common thing. Okay, Coinbase is a great company, fine, no problem with Coinbase. But you don't own the private key, right? You don't own the private key is basically your access to the blockchain, right? To the respective blockchain. So for Bitcoin, you need to have your private key. It's basically a 12 to 24 worded passphrase. And when you're putting your Bitcoin or your cryptocurrencies on these third party exchanges, you don't have that kind of access, right? They have access to the blockchain to access your balance. They're basically babysitting your funds for you. So what I recommend is looking into private storage. You can download desktop wallets, but for more security, you can have paper wallets or cold storage devices. They're called cold storage because it's offline, like a Ledger device or a Trezor device or a KeepKey wallet. And basically, you can send your cryptocurrency straight to that, and that's yours. You have the private passphrase, the private seed, and then it's yours. You can then directly have access to your cryptocurrency, no third party involved, and you're just using the wallet. The wallet is like the key to the blockchain for you to access your crypto. It's much safer, because then if your wallet gets destroyed or burnt or melted or frozen or whatever happens to it, as long as you keep that private key, that private seed phrase, right, that private group of words, you can restore that balance on any other wallet. And if you keep that money, those funds, on an exchange, if that exchange goes bust tomorrow, if they vanish, if they get seized, if they get compromised, hacked, or they just exit, your money's gone, right? And they have the key to it, not you. So it's better to keep it, have your own private key. Always make sure when you set up a wallet that it gives you your private key, and it's usually 12 to 24 words. That's important. That's really important, because in this industry, a lot of exchanges have and will exit in time. That's just the reality of it. It's a fast moving industry, so you got to make sure your money, because that's your funds, right? You don't want to lose your money, so keep it safe. Safety first.
Right, and the industry is so new and so fluid. It's been hard to predict, and it's going to be hard to predict for a little bit of time here.
Exactly. Anything can happen. The normal rule book, especially with trading, the sort of traditional rule book where people would buy low and sell high, that's kind of been thrown out the window, even though I recommend following that kind of logic. But like sometimes people will buy high and then they still make profit. So you got to be careful. Safety first, and don't invest what you can't lose. It's no joke.
Now, Luke, changing now to Ethereum. From your perspective, why are Fortune 500 companies becoming so involved? And what is the big deal about smart contracts?
Okay, so look, I got a mixed opinion on Ethereum. See, like I like Ethereum, but like there's certain things we have to look at with Ethereum. Like number one, like I don't look at Ethereum as a rival to Bitcoin, not so ever, because even though a similar technology is blockchain tech, like Bitcoin is designed to be a payment network, right? That's what it's programmed to do. Right? It's programmed to manage like numbers. Ethereum's different. It's not a store of value. A lot of people make this mistake, and if you bought Ethereum when it was $10 last year, then great, well done, you've made profit. But because it's unlimited, right? It's got an unlimited supply. There's no supply and demand element to it. But where its true value lies, it's potential to be innovative, right? It's basically an application builder. You can build programs on top of Ethereum's blockchain. That's why Ethereum has had slightly more problems than Bitcoin, because there's just more things to go wrong with it. The smart contracts are supposed to be like decentralized applications, and you can program them to do anything. So you can program them to be a token, like what we see with these ICOs, right? That's what at the moment Ethereum is only being used to create ICOs at the moment. You can program Ethereum to do other things. You can program it to be a calculator, to store data. So you got all these different functions, and because so many startups and so many companies are using Ethereum to build upon, Ethereum's had a few scaling issues. They've had to kind of tweak as they go along, and Ethereum aren't afraid to kind of just do an upgrade, like a hard fork, to upgrade and solve these problems. That's one of the strengths of Ethereum. Now, in terms of Ethereum as like in terms of trading, I mean, some people have made a lot of money from Ethereum, like just investing in Ethereum, and like I said, that's great. But what we got to remember with Ethereum is that it can go up very easily, but it can also crash really, really, really easily. Really easy. I mean, Ethereum reached $400 and everyone was all excited, and it just crashed and it hit like $200 and it lost half its value. And I'm not being negative at Ethereum, but when people look at Ethereum as a store of value, like it really isn't. Even like the developers say that if the ETH token, that's what it is. It's a token. It wasn't designed to be a store of value. It was to incentivize and work as a like oil to the engine. I kind of look at, like, if people look at Bitcoin as like a form of digital gold, maybe we should look at Ethereum like oil, where it's still very valuable, but it's used to create things. And why the companies working, like so many different companies like JP Morgan, Cisco and Microsoft are investing in Ethereum, because it's innovative. It's got so much innovative potential, and they're backing it, and that's a very bullish sign for Ethereum. I'm not surprised why it pumped so much since last year. It can literally be used to create like the internet 2.0, like literally. It just takes time to develop, but at the moment it's only being used to create these ICO pump and dump tokens. But hopefully in time, we'll see some amazing things from Ethereum. It all takes time, right? Rome wasn't built in a day. So there's a lot of potential, but just be careful. Just don't, just remember to buy at the bottom if you're going to buy Ethereum. Now,
Luke, you've compared Bitcoin to Ethereum. Bitcoin being the gold and Ethereum being the oil. There is a third coin that I'd like you to just go into. What are your perspectives on Litecoin? Because we're hearing some really good stuff about it from some people, and then others don't even mention it.
I like Litecoin. I remember when I did a video on Litecoin, and this was when it was $3, and I looked at Litecoin and I thought, okay, so everyone calls it boring. So to me, I'm thinking I'm going to do the opposite of what everyone else is thinking. if it's boring, that's usually a good sign in terms of being a store of value. It's one of the least volatile cryptocurrencies out there, so it's the most stable. It's got what I've noticed as well. One of the things I liked about it is that the volume was always high on Litecoin. Whenever cryptocurrencies were pumping and everyone was kind of buying them up, Litecoin's volume was always very consistent. So which means it's being used, right? People are using it, and if people are using it, then it's got a place in the world, right? Also as well, it's probably the most legit altcoin out there. It's got the least amount of drama, the least amount of political nonsense around it. And I remember when I did a video on it, and it was $3, and I was like, yeah, this could go to $10, and wow, it did that.
It sure did.
Yeah, but yeah, that's why I like it, because it's the most legit of the altcoins, right? I believe, even though ultimately Bitcoin is the daddy of it all, right, at the moment, I think there can be more than one winner in this industry. It's a free market, so there's room for more than one winner. And I think, especially as well, when Litecoin set the pace for the solution, Bitcoin scaling solutions with segregated witness, Litecoin actually acted as the test net for that, which I thought was a good thing. It actually did make a difference. It helped. So Litecoin, I think, has a place in terms of that. I don't see it as a rival to Bitcoin. I see it. Well, Charlie Lee, who's the founder of Litecoin, he's not like the owner. There's no Litecoin company or nothing. You know, he's just the guy who created it. He even says himself, like, Litecoin isn't a competitor to Bitcoin. It's more of a complement to it. You know, it's an alternative, and that's what I like about Litecoin. And I like that it's innovative and it's not afraid to kind of just upgrade and innovate to help the industry as a whole. And plus as well, it's got the hashing power behind it. It's very similar to Bitcoin. There's only slight differences. So the developers in Bitcoin, which are some of the best computer science minds on the planet, they can very easily jump over and cross over to Litecoin. So a good development, good tech, yeah. So that's why I like Litecoin. A lot of people still call it boring, but I think boring is good sometimes, especially, and I think it's good to see the good guy win in this industry as well. So yeah, I like Litecoin. Yeah.
Yes, boring can translate into safety.
Exactly. Yeah. Safety's good, I think. Safety's good.
Safety's good. Now, Luke, you mentioned scaling issues. Could you please go into that? What do you mean when you say that?
Oh, basically, because Bitcoin has grown so much, the volume, the amount of people using it, it was just too much for the network. And there was basically a debate, a scaling debate, where people were basically Bitcoin has, transactions. You have something called blocks, which are mined. The miners mine something called blocks, and each block contains the transactions, right? So if I send you Bitcoin, that's going to be mined in a block, but the blocks have a limited size. So at the moment, the block size, well, before SegWit, the block size was 1 megabyte. Some people wanted the block size to go to 2 megabytes, so to allow more transactions in and create more, so that more volume could be handled faster. While others wanted segregated witness, which is slightly different, where it removes some of the data in the block, so it removes the witness data from the block and makes more and makes more space in the block. Basically, it makes it more efficient, which then means that the transaction fees go lower. I think segregated witness increases the efficiency of the block size capacity by 70%, I think. Don't quote me on that, but around that. So it's a big difference. So basically, so yeah, that was the scaling debate, and it was I think it lasted for for years. People were debating it, and basically segregated witness came in, and those who wanted bigger blocks forked with Bitcoin Cash. So everyone's got what they wanted, so everyone can stop having tantrums. But yeah, it's a good sign, really, because it shows that the community, the ecosystem, and the industry is actually growing, because more and more people are coming into it. It's better to actually argue about how we're going to handle more volume than, I don't know, the software collapsing or something. So yeah, it's a good thing, really, in the end. And we have SegWit now, and we saw what SegWit did for Litecoin. It pushed Litecoin. It basically injected life back into Litecoin's ecosystem, and we saw what it done for Bitcoin's price recently. And the hard fork wasn't as scary as people thought. So the scaling debate. But yeah, it rages on. But to be fair, eventually we're probably going to have to see like more upgrades in the future, because more and more people are coming into this space, and Bitcoin's going to have to keep upgrading. But it's software, right? It's technology, and it can adapt. And one of the great things about Bitcoin is that it can't be changed very easily. Even though it's not just down to the miners, it's not just down to the developers, it's not just down to the users, the community. Everyone has to kind of agree overall, which means it's a decentralized community, a decentralized ecosystem, and that's what makes Bitcoin so powerful. It's not, there's no company, there's no central server, there's no central Bitcoin president. I mean, we don't even know who created it. So it's actually worked in its favor. It makes it even more stronger. Bitcoin always seems to look like it's about to be totally destroyed, and it always seems to just
every month there's something, right?
Yeah, there's always something. It's just kind of learn to kind of get thick skin to it, really. Yeah.
Now, Luke, we were talking before the show about how many cryptocurrencies there actually are, and I know there's over 700. I don't know the exact amount right now. What is the most profitable coin to mine, and how does cryptocurrency mining work?
Okay. The most profitable? Oh God! I'm sure people are watching this at home are screaming at the screen. There's so many. I mean, Dash can be quite profitable. Zcash, Litecoin. Because most of the cryptocurrencies are programmed to be more easier to mine as well, and more energy efficient to mine. Bitcoin is the most hardest, it's got the most difficulty. In terms of which is the most profitable, I know Monero can be pretty good, Ethereum Classic, Dash, loads of those. And then you can mine, as long as they have the proof of work algorithm, you can mine it. I don't know which one in particular is the most profitable, because obviously the difficulty changes on them as well, and obviously the price as well, that affects it as well. How much are you actually getting? In terms of mining, it's literally simplified. It's basically where I'll use my computer or a piece of hardware to basically solve mathematical problems, which then generate blocks. That's pretty much it. And that hashing power, the more hashing power you have, the more faster you can solve these mathematical algorithms. And basically, the more hashing power you have. Hashing power is basically the term used to measure how many algorithms are being solved, how many blocks you can generate, you can get through. And the more hashing power you have, the more likely you are to have Bitcoin be rewarded with cryptocurrency. And every time you generate a block, you get rewarded. So yeah, it is very profitable if you have the capital, the startup capital. Mining Bitcoin from my laptop or something is pretty much like a waste of time. You need like the ASIC devices, like ant miners, and stuff like that, like Bitmain make ASICs and stuff, and you can just use those. But you need to know what you're doing. It takes a lot of research, a lot of time, a lot of electricity as well.
It's quite expensive to become a miner, isn't it? Really
expensive, yeah. I mean, over here in England, our energy is so expensive. It's like, I mean, it wouldn't be worth it really, unless you've got some kind of solar power or somehow you've got some free electricity, right? If you've got free electricity, great. But it takes a lot of heat and a lot of energy to make a Bitcoin. It's expensive. There's a lot of, I don't think people seem to overlook the process of creating a Bitcoin. It's not cheap. It's very expensive to create one. Yeah. So
I think people are not even familiar with the actual process of mining, or how a Bitcoin is created in the first place.
No, they're not. I've played with mining on my laptop just to kind of learn it, understand it. It was I think it was Zcash when it was launched, when it was still when not many people were mining it. And I mean, my laptop just heated up straight. I mean, I literally got like a pound. It wasn't worth it. I only did it. It was more of an educational thing, but yeah, I mean, it's a difficult process, and it's an ever-changing process. You have to kind of stay sharp with it. You got to stay up to date, because as the difficulty rises, your device, your mining device, the ASIC, becomes more obsolete as well. So you've got to kind of replace that. So you've got to make sure you get a return on investment in time. And then that comes into play, where if the price goes down, if we go into a bull market, it's going to be much, much harder to get a return on investment. So luckily, everyone's quite happy with mining so far because we're in like a little bull market at the moment. But if we go into a bear market, it's not good. So yeah, there's a lot of variables that people don't understand with mining.
Right. Now, Luke, I want to shift gears just a little bit. Sure. Have you heard of the company called Hive Blockchain Technologies? And if so, what are your thoughts on the concept behind this brand new company?
Yeah, I've been doing some research on Hive. They've recently gone live on the TSX Venture Canadian stock market. I think they're trading now for $1.40. I checked because I've been doing some research on them. It's actually great to see blockchain companies go into the mainstream markets and be available for mainstream to more traditional investors. So what I've researched, they're using Genesis mining farms in Iceland, which is which is actually a good thing. That's good for Genesis. I'm glad Genesis are doing that. They're mining so they can mine basically Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, Zcash, Monero, Dash. But the difference is that they're not a cloud mining company. They're not selling hashing power, mining power. They're actually selling a portion of what they've already mined. That's what makes Hive so good. So what they mine, they're basically selling a small percentage of that on the market and holding and reserving the rest. So I think that can really bridge people who are skeptical or perhaps a little bit afraid or just don't understand cryptocurrency and blockchain. I think it could bridge that gap, and it's actually what the blockchain industry needs. So yeah, I would recommend people to have a look, check it out, and have a dabble with it because it's blockchain technology, right? And like we just said, the mining industry side of things is still very much under the radar. So I think there could be good potential with this company, with Hive, and stuff.
Luke, what's next for cryptocurrencies, blockchains, and ICOs? What's the buzz in the community?
What's next? Wow. I think a lot of people are probably panicking about China's fear mongering, but I personally wouldn't worry about that. I would say long term, I think people want to see Bitcoin basically just innovate and automate and just kind of show how obsolete the banking system is. I think that's what's next. What else is next? I mean, in terms of like Ethereum, we're probably going to see more altcoins just come out of nowhere, more forks of different cryptocurrencies. I think like in the next 10 years, I think we'll probably see it more mainstream. I think there's going to be a lot of jobs that don't exist yet start to emerge, like what happens with the internet of things, like with application development and stuff. In terms of the ICOs, they're probably a lot of them are going to exit, in my opinion, because even though there are a few that are legit, there's always a diamond in the rough, but a lot of them are just going to exit because a lot of them are just scams, or they're just going to shrivel up and vanish into nothing. They because ICOs literally just want to make more Bitcoin. Like the majority of them, that's all they're doing. That's all investors are going into them for, to make more Bitcoin and then dump the tokens for Bitcoin. That's literally what ICOs are being used for at the moment. Not all of them, though. Like I said, there are a few decent ones. It'd be nice. It'd be really nice if all of them were legit and we're going to actually do something. But that's what we're probably going to see. We'll probably see a lot of them, the altcoins and stuff. The rubbish ones vanish, exit, and a lot of exchanges are going to exit as well. But overall, it's looking very good.
Now, Luke, from your personal point of view, why do you believe that cryptocurrencies are better than fiat currencies?
Oh, okay, that's a good one. Well, I mean, things like let's use Bitcoin as an example, because like fiat, for example, has, compared to Bitcoin is based on supply and demand, right? There's only ever going to be 21 million. Like I said before, like if people think that Bitcoin is like some kind of Ponzi, it's not, because it's backed by the amount of energy and resources and time and innovation to create it. Fiat money is just losing value. I mean, if we talk to like our elders, our money has lost nearly all of its purchasing power. like the pound, the dollar, the euro. The euro, in my opinion, I'm so glad that Britain never adopted the euro. I'm so glad we don't have the euro. But fiat money is just based on debt, inflation. It's just been printed unlimited. Like, there's no gold back in it. Like, I know about the Fed, how it got set up in 1913. I know that, that there's no gold back in any of it, and I don't really want to kind of rely on that for like a pension. That's not.
Yeah, Luke, it's really quite frightening, isn't it? Yeah,
it's not good, and even gold and silver are being suppressed. So. You can't even really blame people for wanting to go into something like Bitcoin, because at the moment it's cutting edge, and it's doing what gold and silver should really be doing as well. So I mean, what a lot of people who embrace cryptocurrencies are doing is that they're basically just keeping the minimal amount of fiat, just because also, as long as there's a government, a centralized government, and a centralized bank, and people are, and then they're being used and stuff. There's always going to be government issued currency, and people are always going to want to spend some of it, have some fiat to spend, some government fiat to spend. But what people are doing now is just keeping the minimal amount of fiat just to spend on things like paying the bills, buying groceries and stuff. But they're just kind of putting it all into like cryptocurrencies, into Bitcoin now. That's what a lot of people are doing. No one seems to really trust fiat currencies anymore. No one trusts the banks. So yeah, it's like a giant Ponzi, the Ponzi of all Ponzi's.
Yeah, right.
yeah.
Now,
crazy.
It's very interesting to me that Britain really has the same perspective as America, but actually it sounds to me like you're more so into cryptocurrencies than the typical American.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how it is. I know America, the SEC is they're pretty strict on things. So that could be true. But the British government has been very quiet about it, a bit too quiet for my liking at the moment. We'll see what happens. Yeah.
Luke, this has been an amazing interview. Thank you so much for being on this show. How can our listeners follow your work?
Well, I got my own YouTube channel. I have like loads of different guests on there. I've had like Adam Meister on there. I've had loads of different people on there. It's called Yes for Motivation. That's on YouTube. Just type that in. I'm also on Twitter, and you can also see my articles that I write. I write about 1 or 2 articles a week on Question Street. So just go on questionstreet.com and hit digital currencies as well. And I'm also on Steemit as well, and you can find me all on there. I do videos, not just about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, but just motivational things, like thought-provoking insights. So yeah, that's what I do on my channel, and I always have a few guests on every now and then as well. So yeah.
Wonderful, progressive, interesting, thrilling, exciting time.
Indeed, yeah, definitely.
Luke Dodwell, blockchain and cryptocurrency expert for Cryptocurrencies, the Future of Digital Money show. I'm Michelle Holliday at PortfolioWealthGlobal.com. We are very excited with everything that is happening with the blockchain. For even billion-dollar giants, before the blockchain, it was Excel sheets they used for many purposes. This will disappear within a decade. Australia, Japan, and Germany are all prototyping blockchain for their own stock exchanges. The NASDAQ is also running test trials. And of course, we know that the New York Stock Exchange is a big investor into Coinbase, $75 million worth. The U.S. Defense Department is now integrating blockchain for secure chat-based platforms. The key for them is security. Brazil Ministry is using the blockchain to create identification for its citizens. The blockchain is a single source of truth because it cannot be tampered with. The blockchain validates in real time and eliminates settlement risk for business. Access our top company to research at PortfolioWealthGlobal.com/must and make sure that you grasp the scope of this opportunity. Thanks for joining us today. We release interviews every week, so be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for automatic alerts of new expert interviews as they post. For Cryptocurrencies, the Future of Digital Money show, I'm Michelle Holliday at PortfolioWealthGlobal.com.